What's up, everybody? Happy New Year, and welcome to a new episode of Heroes of Our Time. It's been a while since we've done one of these. We
Yes.
had to go through our spooktacular, spooky month in October, going into like the holiday movie month and everything. We didn't have
Mhm.
time to get to this episode, but Flash Gordon's been in the works for quite some time. At this
Yes.
point, we've been meaning to do this for months.
Months.
Finally, we're getting to it. No better time to do it than to kick off the brand spanking new year, 2024, with a
with
episode
with
4 of Heroes of Our Time.
Flash Gordon. Of all
Talking
of
about
all movies, this is
ta
the movie we're kicking off the year with, and I'm here for it, but it's surprising to say the least. That's how I
it
feel.
is. Yes, if you haven't already, make sure to like, share, and subscribe as always. Check out us, on social medias, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you get your podcast, leave us a good review. Also, this is Heroes of Our Time. If you haven't watched the show, check out the previous 3 episodes, talked about Batman and the first 2 Superman movies. We
Right.
are the first and only podcast that I know of that are talking about every single comic book / superhero movie in chronological order. We started with
All of them.
Batman 66 and we go, and this is going to be a 20-year long, 30-year
Yeah.
long project
We're
at
gonna
this
be
point.
50-year-olds, and mind you, we're 30 at this point. We're gonna be 50-year-olds still whenever we get to like the Dark Knight Rises, stuff like that. So if you came here looking for Infinity War reviews, come back in like 36 years, something like that, because we're pumping them out. Maybe we'll get faster with it, but like I
Maybe,
know
yeah.
there's a long list that we got to get through, but stick
Yeah.
around because it's gonna be a ride. You can see us age.
Our research team put together a whole list of every single movie in chronological order, and by
Hmm.
diligent research team, I just mean me and you, Vernon.
Yep. The R&D has been working real hard on it,
It took a
but
while.
it is fact checked. We have a bit long list, like you said, to have all the places to watch the movies, the year it came out, so we know that we're
Oh,
we're
yeah.
we're good on
We
this. We
we
got
did all
this.
the research. It's just putting in the time to do everything.
But with that being said, if you ever come across our videos and you're watching like in order and you notice that we did miss something, feel free to leave a comment and educate us
Absolutely.
because we're trying our best here, but we're not
We're
perfect.
trying. Exactly. And, of course, there's gonna be, like there's TV movies and other stuff. We're only covering live action stuff. As much as I love Mask of the Phantasm, it's an
And
animated one. We're not gonna get
we've
to that
talked
one.
about this though, like that might be something we cook up later, but it's going to be a separate series off of this. So we're
Yeah,
like,
maybe that'll just be
no,
part of Cinema Trip reviews or something at some point, you
right.
know?
This is like no animated movies in this, all live action. But we're
Yeah.
kicking off the brand new year here with Flash Gordon.
Yes, talk about Flash Gordon from 1980. This is the first time I've ever seen this movie. This is the first time for you as well?
Yes, yes, and it
Yeah.
was
Now
very
I've
interesting.
very interesting. Now this is a movie that was hard to find. It's
Oh, yeah.
not really streaming anywhere. I didn't know about it. Of course, I've heard about like the old school Flash Gordon. There was a TV show, I believe it was from 1954 to 1955, and they had like old school comic books and old serials and stuff based
Right.
around Flash Gordon back. And I mean, it was created in 1934 by Alex Raymond and Don Moore. So Flash
Wow.
Gordon's been around for a long ass time.
Like
Long ass time.
almost 100 years by this point. Like
Yeah, we're getting there. That's pretty crazy to think about.
almost been
Uh,
100 years for
and
Flash
we've
Gordon
only
to
really
exist.
had this movie. We haven't seen really anything on Flash Gordon since. Like maybe there's an ongoing comic maybe still at some point. I don't know. I
I'm
haven't really
sure
heard anything
there's
about it.
something.
But there's
Maybe
been
this
like no TV
episode.
shows, no other movies or anything since this one. It seems like nobody's really like has the urge to make a Flash Gordon movie. I mean, I feel like now's the time. I mean, you have like all these superhero movies, Marvel movies and such. Like now's the time to reboot Flash
Yeah,
Gordon. I
you
feel like
might
you
as
could do it
well.
justice at this
If you
point.
got stuff like the Marvels flopping, the Flash flopping, like it don't even matter anymore. Just put it out. It's gonna flop. They don't care. Just put it out, type of thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like even if it's so like it's only like you can go up from here. So
yeah,
might
and
as well. This is the
it's not
perfect
like a
time.
movie you need to watch something else to get. Like it's a singular contained story.
Yep.
Throw it out there. Hopefully people like it. I mean, it's 2024. You could do way better graphics and CGI and stuff than now. I mean, even for 1980, a lot of the stuff is impressive, but I feel like a lot of the colors and stuff they utilize makes it look tacky as fuck throughout the
Yeah.
whole thing. And that's why, like, and it's hard not to compare this movie to Star Wars because I mean, this comes
Dude.
out couple years after Star Wars comes out in like
It's like
78 or whatever,
almost like
77.
beat for beat Star Wars. I'm like, this is just Star Wars. Like, what
There's
the
a
hell is
lot of
going on here?
similarities between Star Wars, and you could easily tell because Star Wars, the first one came out in like 77, 78. So
Yeah.
you could tell they were like, all right, we got to get this done. We got to capitalize off of the popularity of Star Wars. And there's even like a scene later in the movie where
Yes.
the prince, Doran or whatever his fucking name is, he's going down like these black and white hallways, and it looks like the Death Star, and he's like Han
Yes.
Solo with the blaster blasting
I'm like,
everybody. And I was like,
but
this
he's just
feels
like,
very
his
similar.
aim is like my aim in Fortnite because he's missing some shots. Some he's just like pew pew and just ducking. Like it's funny. We'll get to that part. I get, but like the one laser he shoots above the guy, and it goes behind him, and you can see the guy just like turn around. Like it's pretty funny. Like man, like this movie was definitely entertaining, but uh
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely weird. You can tell they were capitalizing off of Star Wars and everything. This was directed by Mike Hodges. He directed Get Carter. I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. It's a very like somewhat famous movie from the early 70s starring Michael Caine. Uh,
okay.
and
Ooh,
I've always wanted to see it. I've heard about it, just haven't gotten around to watching it. He also
young Michael
directed
Caine.
Black Rainbow and Terminal Man, movies I have heard of, just not ones I've really gone out and seen. He doesn't really have
Yeah,
too many big movies in his filmography or anything. But on the other hand, you have a guy that produced this movie. I don't know if you ever recognize this name, Dino De Laurentiis. For anybody that's really as like familiar with film, probably knows who Dino De Laurentiis is. This dude has his hands at goddamn near everything. This dude
I
has produced
personally don't know who
he has
who
produced
this is.
192 movies throughout his
Damn,
career.
a bunch that I've already seen that I'm sure. Like, where I
A
just
bunch
didn't
you've
know.
already seen. He started his work in like the 40s and such, like
Oh
producing a
my
bunch of
god.
Italian movies. Like he's
Ah,
done
mob
like
movies, gangsta
he
shit.
he was doing like 30 or 40 Italian movies before he even started doing like American stuff at that point in
Okay.
time. I mean, he ended up doing like Barbarella, which came out like 20 years
I
before
have
this,
seen that.
very similar to Flash Gordon. Very
I've seen
similar to Flash Gordon.
that
Yeah,
movie. It's just as ridiculous as this
just as
movie.
ridiculous. But he produced that one, and he also produced one of the later King Kong movies as well. I believe it was like this one of the 70s ones. He also did Serpico with Al Pacino.
Mm.
We did a review of that with Brett from Dissect That Film last year for his 50th anniversary. Go check out that review. One second here, because I just wanted to go through. He did Death Wish, which is a fucking, a huge movie back in the 70s and whatnot. But throughout the 80s, he had a fucking run, dude. He was involved with Halloween 2, Conan the Barbarian, Halloween 3, The Dead Zone, which I have a review for. Check out The Dead Zone. Firestarter, Dune, directed by David Lynch, Conan the Destroyer, Silver Bullet, Maximum Overdrive, Blue Velvet, hold on a second. There's Army of Darkness, the third Evil Dead
Oh
movie and
shit.
such. He was also involved with like Hannibal and Red Dragon, like the old like the Hannibal Lecter movies that came out in like the 2000s and stuff. But
Right.
dude has had his hands producing and a ton of shit through a variety of different genres and everything. This dude,
Interesting.
it's hard to look around and not find a movie that Dino De Laurentiis hasn't had his hands on in some capacity. And a lot of those movies some of those movies I mentioned, he was a producer, but he was uncredited as a producer as well. But he like either had his like hand in funding it or some role
Like
in the
some type
movie
of
itself,
consultant, or you know what I mean?
something
There's
like that.
some way.
But I mean, he ended up like helping buy the rights for Flash Gordon because this is a crazy story I didn't know about. Apparently, early in the early 70s, very early 70s, we already talked about it a little bit. A man named George Lucas tried to buy the rights to Flash Gordon. He tried to get the rights to Flash Gordon because George Lucas is like, I want to make a Flash Gordon movie. I think it would be fucking amazing.
He had
I
the
think
script for Star Wars ready.
I don't know about that yet, but they are like, I think he only did one movie at that time. I believe. I think American Graffiti was out. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but he didn't really have a huge resume under his belt or anything. So they were like, nah, we're gonna pass on you. I believe it was like King Features were the ones that owned the rights to Flash Gordon. They were like, George Lucas, sorry, we can't do it. You don't really have much of an impressive resume. A couple years later, Dino De Laurentiis comes along and says, hey, I want to buy the rights to Flash Gordon. Like, fuck, this dude's done like 70 movies up to
They're
this
like,
point. Of course
hell
we'll let you.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
you get
Go
the
ahead.
discount.
But because George Lucas wasn't able to get the rights to Flash Gordon, he's like, I'll fucking show you. I'll make my own space epic opera or whatever. And he went on to make
Space
fucking
opera.
Star Wars. So imagine like if he was able to get the rights to Flash Gordon, if he was able to make like a Flash
We would
Gordon
never
as
have
big
Star
as
Wars.
Star Wars. Yeah, we would never have Star Wars first off, but maybe Flash Gordon like universe would have took the place of like Star Wars for
Yeah.
us, or maybe it just wouldn't have been as big regardless. Because this movie did it kind of flopped when it came out for a number of reasons.
In a different universe, that's exactly what happened. Is Star Wars came out in 1980 and Flash Gordon came out in 77, like you were saying, and like
We got
we have every
Flash
kids
Gordon
playing with
spinoffs on Disney Plus.
Flash Gordon Legos and shit, bro. Flash Gordon's in Fortnite. Like, think about that, man. Like that little that decision there by whatever studio exec like ended up giving us Star Wars. That's pretty crazy to me, man. Like,
Right.
holy.
Like they turned down George. George goes out and writes and makes Star Wars. Star Wars ends up becoming fucking huge. And then they're like, all right, we need to get Flash Gordon out right away
Like
because
shit.
this would work perfectly with what he's doing. Maybe we should have let George do that movie.
Oh
So,
man.
so they ended up bringing Mike Hodges in. He ended up directing it. They bring in Sam Jones, who plays Flash Gordon. I really don't know what he's done too much. You haven't really seen him in damn near really anything since. Other than I know he's in Ted because that's one of the other reasons I know of Flash Gordon is because
Oh,
in
that's
Ted
right.
they have a whole fucking thing about loving Flash Gordon, and
See, I
even
didn't even
Sam Jones
realize
shows up to the party in the Flash Gordon shirt.
you're
He has
so right.
PTSD about Ming the Merciless and everything.
I need to rewatch that scene now that I've seen this movie. Bro, I gotta rewatch that scene like right after this.
He ended up actually having a contract dispute with Dino De Laurentiis towards the after he was done filming. So they actually had to do some reshoots and voiceover work, and he didn't even come back to do it. They had to do like a stunt double and had a guy come in here and do voiceover for him and stuff because he was like, nah, I'm out. Even when the
No.
movie officially released, he wasn't promoting it and shit. So he wasn't like, he was like, nah, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
So like, and
One
what's
of those
crazy,
situations.
him and like most of the main cast members of the movie were signed on for more movies. There were supposed to be like 2 or 3 more movies after this. That's why like at the very end, I mean,
It's
we'll get to
yeah,
it eventually,
yeah.
but it's leading into more, potentially. So uh, all of them were signed on to do more movies, but this one kind of flopped when it came out. So they're like, we're going to put
Like,
that on the
I
back
don't think
burner.
we're
We're not going
gonna
to do any
make
more of these.
another Flash Gordon right now. We'll wait. We'll see. We'll wait another 50 years for them to remake it or something. Like,
And then that
oh my god.
unfortunately never happens. So they had 2 other prospects in mind. They had for, Flash Gordon here, the number 1 person that Dino De Laurentiis wanted as Flash Gordon was Kurt Russell, and
Oh,
that would have been fucking amazing. I don't know
that
if
would have
Kurt
been
Russell would have been
awesome.
able to save the movie, but it
It
would have been
still would have been
awesome.
really cool. Right.
But
It would have been really cool.
Kurt Russell read it, and he turned it down because he didn't think Flash Gordon had enough personality. He didn't have enough depth to him, so he's like, "Nah, I gotta pass. I can't do it." They
Yeah.
actually Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to do the part because he was involved with Conan the Barbarian and such. I believe that was
I'll do
around that
Flash
time,
Gordon.
but they didn't want him to do it because he couldn't get away from the accent. He couldn't lose the accent. So they're like, nah, Flash Gordon can't have an Austrian accent, bro. We can't do it. An American football player that plays for the New York Jets. It's
You
not going to
can't.
be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sorry, man.
This can't work.
So they
Sorry.
ended up going out and getting Sam Jones. You have Melody Anderson who plays Dale, which is such a fucking weird name to have for your your leading lady
I
of
couldn't
the
tell if it was
movie.
Dale or like Deo, like Dao. I was
No,
like,
it's
what does he
Dale.
keep calling her? Dale?
It's
Deo?
Dale, like
I
Dale Earnhardt.
every time I heard the sound, I was like, okay, he's talking about her. I just couldn't like I couldn't tell what any of them were saying. Like, is it Deo? Dio? Like
Yeah,
Dale.
Dio. Holy diver.
Holy diver.
But she's her acting is not great. And I mean, there's a lot of acting that's not great in this movie, but
Yeah.
hers is definitely down there. Sam Jones, I feel like he doesn't have, even though he's the leading dude, he doesn't really have a lot to work with compared to some of the other people. I feel like
Right.
he's just got to
Like
be
what
that
Kurt
tough
Russell
guy.
was saying. Like there's not really much to the character there at all, you know.
Exactly, exactly. But then you have Max von Sydow, who plays Ming the Merciless, and this is a part I believe I was like, I have no clue why Max von Sydow took this part because dude was a kind of pretty much an acclaimed actor. Dude just got done filming like doing The Exorcist a couple years before this.
He's like, yeah, I'll do Flash Gordon. That sounds pretty fun.
But Max von Sydow, I believe he died. fucking like maybe less than 10 years ago, I believe. But he's an accomplished actor. He's a fucking amazing actor. So it was
Mhm.
weird to see him do something like this. He must have just did it for the money. He needed a new car, a new house at that point in time, maybe.
Yeah.
Or he just wanted to do something weird. And this
Just
was
wanted
this
to do
movie.
it.
This movie was right there if you wanted to do something weird. But yeah, he would end up doing a bunch of shit. I mean, I know he's like I mentioned, he's in The Exorcist. He ended up doing like Game of Thrones years and years. That was near towards the end of his career when he did like the Three Eyed Raven as a at the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones. He was the Three Eyed Raven.
What?
Hmm.
That's the same dude? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
Holy, like,
but he's in a
wow.
ton of shit, man. He's in a ton of stuff. But you also have Timothy Dalton, who plays Prince Baron, and Timothy Dalton, he's in a ton of shit too throughout his career. He's a well-known actor. There's a lot of different well-known actors in here. Brian Blessed, who plays Prince Volton, who I'm just gonna call Macho Man Randy Savage throughout the whole
Yo,
fucking review because he looks like Macho
this
Man
this dude was
with the
just like
wings.
every time he talked, he was screaming. Like, no matter what he was saying, it was like, "Oh, flat like, I am so happy that
When they're
you're
fighting,
here."
he's just like die.
Yeah, like, no matter what he said, he was screaming to say it
And it's
the
probably
entire film.
because apparently he's a well accomplished Shakespearean actor. So he's used to projecting. He's used to being on the big stage. So I mean, it was weird for him to go out and do like a weird space epic like this and all that. But like he's
It was
definitely one of
probably
the more
fun.
memorable characters of the movie because he's one of the funnier characters in the movie
Yeah.
too. He's always fucking with people like during the big fight scene towards the beginning of the movie. He's like bonking people on the head and tripping people while they're running around and stuff. One of the more ridiculous scenes.
Cheesy ass fucking
Cheesy, yeah,
fight,
one of the
man.
cheesy ass fight scenes. You have Ornella Mutai, I believe. I hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong. Who plays Princess Aura? Who she's the daughter of Ming the Merciless, and she is one of, if not the horniest character in the movie, because she is just
Oh, yeah.
constantly trying to fuck everybody. In the like Flash Gordon, Prince Baron,
I would say
the
she
one
definitely
doctor that
is
she
the
like
horniest.
persuades to bring Flash back to life. She has a relationship with.
She apparently has some type of deal in place with, so you know that that's got some type of history. Like, she's
Exactly.
just straight promiscuous and, like,
Promiscuous as
dude
fuck.
fucking the dude I'm gonna call him Green Arrow because he looked like Green Arrow.
Yeah,
The guy that
Yeah, he's the
yeah,
Prince Baron.
he was just getting like, he knew. He knew that she was sleeping around, he's just like, "Oh, you're so hot." Like,
That's like
I'm
that's what threw me off because like one of the first scenes you get introduced to him is like they're having a one-on-one scene together, and she's like, "I want you to meet me here," or whatever. He's like, "You lying bitch," and he's like, "I know I cannot
like,
trust you," and it was like I didn't look what the rating was on this movie, but I feel like it was probably like G or PG.
yeah,
But a lot of
back
the
then,
content in this movie was like this probably should not have been
at
PG or
least
G.
PG-13, you know,
Because like there's a scene like there's so much like promiscuity in the movie,
and,
like
like,
not just
lust,
her
like
and lust, like her hitting on
yeah,
like when she's teaching Flash how to fly the plane or whatever, and he's using the mind thing. He's like, "Oh, she's really turning me on right now," and it's like
"Huh?"
that's a weird line to throw in there for your hero. But yeah, there's a lot of questionable stuff in
The
there,
whole
like
thing about him, the Ming, like, birthing children with her and everything, and just,
right,
like
and not only that, but like he's gonna use the what's her name Dale as he's like get her ready for our pleasure or whatever. And
yeah,
then like the one maid gives her like this drink to
to
make
make
it
it
easier
okay.
on her. And she's
Yeah,
like,
it's
"Well, I
just like
forget it." And she's like, "No, you'll never forget, but it makes it easier." And I was like,
it's like, what
"What
does
the
she
fuck?"
say?
It's like so
She
she's
doesn't say it
preparing
makes
herself for rape pretty much.
what does she
It's like,
say? Like, she's like, "It doesn't you won't forget, but you won't mind that you remember." That's the way she puts it, and I'm like,
what is like this
"What
is
is"
not cool. Like this is supposed to be a lighthearted like space epic and there's a lot of dark shit that's insinuated in the
like,
movie.
what the hell is going on, man?
A
This
lot of
movie is
dark shit.
wild.
One of the other notes I have here is Ming's costumes weighed up to 70 pounds, bro.
I
And
bet.
so in between takes, they actually, because he wasn't able to bend, they had to lay him down on a board so he could rest. And in
I'm
between takes, they
fine.
would lift his ass straight back up. I was like, that would suck, dude.
That hat that he was wearing, like, where it was just like a black skull cap, like, that looked like it probably weighed a lot, you know? Just that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could kind of hop right into it here. There's a lot to cover. So, we talk about Flash Gordon. Who is Flash Gordon? Well, he tells you right when he meets Merciless, Ming the Merciless.
Flash Gordon, Quarterback, New York Jets.
Yeah, like it's like a fucking Monday night like read on like
Yeah,
they're explaining the offense like Flash Gordon, quarterback, New York Jets. Like no, nobody asks for that much information, dog. Like, and you could tell automatically he's a fucking quarterback or a football player because like he's got that like, oh yeah, well, I'm the man. You know what I mean? I just do whatever.
but
You
they
know,
don't
like
really do anything with it through the rest of the movie other than, like, that one scene
the
where
one
they
fight scene.
make him act like he's playing football.
Yeah,
But the very beginning of the movie, you don't even see who it is. You just have, like, you're in a spaceship, you see the Earth or whatever, and you could see that Ming the Merciless is able to cause earthquakes and other natural disasters on
let's hold up.
planets
So we
just
gotta
by
back up
pressing
a
a
second.
button, bro.
We gotta back up a second because I have to let this be known. They talk about in the beginning of the movie, Ming's talking about like, oh, what is this little world? And his little buddy's like, it's a planet they
Oh,
call Earth. And he's like, Earth. Oh, how weird. And then it cuts to like literally like the next cut is like to a little button that has a already made like, panel that says earthquake and he presses the button and I'm like, bro, what do you mean? Like, and it just that just didn't sit right with me. You know what I mean? Like, why even have that whole like Earth? Like he pronounces it weird too. He's like, Earth. Like, oh, that's such a weird name or
and they
whatever
have
he says about it.
earthquake as
And
a
then he
button.
pushes a button that says earthquake. I'm like, bro,
Like,
like,
what?
so I just wanted to get that out the way. That was one of my pet peeves where I'm just like, come on now, like nobody caught that, or like even if you did, like it's just like
Like,
you
yeah,
could have.
I didn't even think about it until you said something. Like, wait a minute, you're right. That is weird. Why would they fucking have that there? But they're causing earthquakes, they're causing hurricanes, and also hot hail.
Something called hot hail.
Hot, how the hell do you have hot hail?
The sky turns red and it's weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it just shows them like causing earthquakes and hurricanes on planet Earth just for their own amusement. And then
Yeah,
it cuts to old Flash Gordon sitting in his station wagon waiting for the plane. And they get up in this plane. It's a private plane, and it's just him and this other woman who you find out, which is Dale, and she's like a travel agent and she hates flying on planes. And he's like, well, that's kind of odd. But you could tell that he's a football player because the one bag that he's carrying on is just a big ass green bag that says Jets across the whole thing. You can't miss it as they're putting it.
yep, exactly. So maybe he's just late to the game or something. So he's trying to get there, so they're on the plane flying, and that's when this hot
Start
hail
hitting
starts.
some, yeah, start getting some turbulence. Pilot even asks him, "Hey, can you sign this?" Because he's on the cover of fucking like People magazine too, Flash Gordon.
Yeah,
And he's like, he's gonna have to put in a lot of work this off season after the season he had last year or whatever. He asked him for an autograph and everything, and the woman even knows who he is and whatnot. And he was like, he's getting a little kind of like he got to work up to kind of hitting on her a little bit, but he just goes right in. He's like, I saw you alone at the hotel last night. Like, why you alone? Like a pretty girl like yourself or whatever. And she's like, I know who you are, Flash Gordon.
you're like, oh.
Oh, oh. And then she's like, well, maybe you should leave the pilots alone. You let them do what they're doing. He's like, I've been taking flying lessons. I know all about this shit that they're
Yeah, come
going
on now.
through. He's like, you might want to remember that, put that in the bank because he's
I
learning
can
how to fly at
fly a
some point.
plane, man. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, like you said, the sky goes red, the sun disappears because
Just
it just
gone.
it's just gone, and then the hot hail starts, and that was been the perfect time to have somebody say, "What the hail?" But nobody ever says it. I don't all these movies where there's like deadly hail or whatever, nobody ever says, "What the
One of the
hail?"
pilots should have said it because of
Yeah.
what happens.
And then something like flies through the cockpit and just they disappear. They just evaporate.
Yeah, like the windows are broken and they're gone. Like I don't know if they got sucked through or something, but like why didn't anybody else get sucked through that if that was the case? So like I always thought that was weird too. Like the camera cuts back and the cockpit's just empty. And Flash Gordon goes up to it. And he's just like, oh, what
Good thing
the
he was learning how to fly planes. But the one part he didn't get to was learn how to land those planes as she asked.
Yep. So of course he's gotta, do his best. He tells Dale to hop in the seat next to him here and just pull up.
Yes, and man, they reused that one single plane sound over and over and over again. It's just on a loop.
Mm,
And I was like, dude, like you couldn't have you didn't have like at least two other plane sound effects you could have added in
Nope.
there. Because the only other
Couldn't
one they
change the
have
pitch
is the
or anything.
crashing one where it's like, there's only
No,
two
that's the
sound
same. They
effects.
just changed the pitch. That's
Yeah.
what they did. They just changed it a little bit so it sounds like it's going
Just they
faster.
tweaked it a little bit. But you cut to like this weird like science lab that's like overgrown with plants and shit, and that's where you meet Sarkov, that's his name, Dr. Sarkov. He's played by Chaim Topol. And this dude was in like Fiddler on the Roof and stuff. He's been in a lot of shit that was like, why is this dude in Flash Gordon? Like he seems like he's a pretty like well-trained actor. Why
Like
is
I
the hell
said,
he's in Flash Gordon?
it looks like it was fun to do. So, like, all these
Yeah,
people probably were
maybe.
just, like, super interested in the idea of it. They could be different.
But yeah, he plays Dr. Zarkov, and he is fucking hilarious, this
Yeah,
dude.
this
Well,
guy's crazy.
he is crazy. As crazy as a fox, though, because they all thought he was
Yeah,
crazy.
I guess.
Well, they get woken up by the hot ass hail that comes down through their window into their bed, and it wakes up like Watson, his
He's like
name is.
he's like, "It's 8 a.m. There's no sun.
There's no
Doctor,
sun, wake up.
there's no
And he
sun."
like immediately he's like, it's coming. I was right. We're being
He's like
attacked.
he's like, "Check the vector velocity of the moon," or something like that. Like, and he's like, okay." Like,
We're being attacked. I knew it. They tried to call me
"I
crazy.
knew it. We're being attacked."
Because as you find out, Zarkov was like an ex NASA employee or whatever, but because of his ideas and stuff that he believed in, he got fired, got his ass fired. So he's been
They
like
banished him.
cooking up all these experiments in his own secret lab and stuff.
He's already got this spaceship built, pre-built,
Big ass rocket in the middle of
just
his, in the middle of his lab.
ready,
And how did
ready for this
this
day.
like assistant not know what it was for? Because he was like, "Now's the time. Like they're gonna come try to destroy the planet or whatever. We gotta go up and stop them, Watson." He's like, "What do you
He's
mean? I'm not going up on that thing. You're going." He's like,
He's like,
"You fucking coming with me, whether you
"You're
like it
coming
or
with me,
not."
buddy. You're coming with me." He's like, "Oh, okay, okay. Either go up there and die by the bullet. What's the
And that's where
difference?"
he's like, "Grab your toothbrush and whatever. We're going to space."
I'm not going up in that.
Get your toothbrush and whatever.
And he just dips. He runs. You
Dude,
know,
just, he's like, "So you telling me I could either go up there and get killed, or you can shoot me right now? I'll take my chances."
yeah. And then he runs outside. And
And he's like, "What are you running for, Watson?"
coincidentally, here comes Flash Gordon and Dale in this plane, and he runs his ass right
Dude
back inside.
turns right around, is running from this plane.
He's like,
And
"Ah,
this is
doctor."
one of the couple times a plane flies through a whole ass building in this movie.
Yeah.
And I gotta give him credit for as I mean, I want to say it's low budget, but they had a ton of money to build these sets and shit too.
Yeah, it
And I
looked
mean, a lot of the
pretty good.
miniatures were pretty impressive because there's a lot of miniatures in this movie they use and they blow up and shit. They look
Yeah.
pretty impressive. And it's like what I said earlier. It's not like Star Wars where a lot of it was like black and white, whereas like it's very easy on the eyes. Where this
Yeah.
movie, you're getting so much red and yellow and black and blue and stuff. It's like so like tacky and it's like so gaudy
Super
and it's like
vibrant.
it's ugly to a
Yeah.
point. And it's like, oh, it's not easy on the eyes. And it
Even
makes
in
it
the
look kind
dull
of cheap in a way.
even in the dull parts, you know, like
Yeah.
even in like in that lab and stuff, it just like it all looks like very like tacky, like you're saying, you know, but
Yeah.
just try to trudge through it.
But I'm guessing that dude gets killed though. He gets run over by that plane.
You don't really
They
see it, but
go
like you see
flying.
it. Yeah, like you don't see him really get run over, but like it looks like he gets run over. So like, and he doesn't pop back up.
Yeah,
He's
and
like, and then
fucking they hop out and act like everything's cool, and he's like, "Oh, welcome to my lab or whatever. I'm guessing you want to use a phone trying to get out of here, right? Well,
"Nah,
there's
I
one
mean, right
right in this rocket ship right here." He's like
go in
hiding a
this
gun
room,
behind his back.
please go in this room. Telephone? Yes, go in.
It's right in there. Go ahead and use it. He's like, "Ah,
Oh,
doesn't
what
look like
happened
there's
to
a
the sun?
telephone in here at all."
It's a solar eclipse. Solar eclipse, man.
Don't worry
Don't worry
about it.
about it.
It's all right.
You want
It
to use the
happens
phone?
every now and then.
You want to use the phone? Go ahead, bro.
And this is the one thing I don't get. This motherfucker is a football player. This dude should be working out year round for his craft. And you telling me this dude couldn't take out this scientist, this old
Right?
scientist in this rocket ship? You telling me he couldn't beat his ass down?
Must not be that good, Flash Gordon.
He just straight up tricks their ass. And he's like, well, oh, he even tells him, like, you can leave. I only need one person on here or whatever. And that's when he fucking jumps him and he ends up bashing the dude's head into the button and the ship just blasts off. And you have just a trippy ass trip through space, and it's like all
Yeah,
these like
man.
kaleidoscope and vibrant colors and shit. They're going through like the wormhole and they're like passing out and stuff. And that's when you land on the planet. I forget even what the planet is called, man. But the one thing we forgot to mention was the music in the movie. And the music is done by Queen, which is
Yeah, I forgot
fucking
about
wild that they had Queen do the music for this movie. And apparently Dino De Laurentiis didn't really know Queen at all when they got him to do the music for the movie or whatever. And it's easily one of the most memorable parts of the movie and one of the
Yeah.
best parts of the movie is
Because
the music.
you could tell every time it comes on that it's Queen. Like I remember telling you, when we were talking away from here on about the movie, like I was watching the intro and everything, and I'm just like, this sounds a lot like Queen. And then literally right after I said it, it popped up on the screen, music performed and written by Queen, and I'm like, oh shit, like
Flash. Ah. And
like
there's a
oh,
cool like open we didn't even talk about the opening credits where it's like a lot of the comic book pages and stuff from those old serials and
right.
stuff back in the day and stuff. It was really cool. I really liked how they did the credits and all that with that music. And that music's going to get used over and over and over, especially towards the end where every single time they cut to Flash Gordon, it's like Flash. Ah! And he's, dum, dum, dum. He's
Yep.
flying that plane.
But this
It's
movie
great.
goes real ridiculous real fast, man.
Oh, real ridiculous, real fast. Because it's been, I mean, we talking about a dude like pressing buttons to cause natural disasters, but just like the Flash stuff and talking to the scientists, it's kind of grounded. But here, you crash land on the planet, and this where you have like pretty much Turbo Men. They look like Turbo
Yeah,
Man when
they
they're
do
like
pretty much
in
like
Turbo Man suits.
right,
They
like
come out
plastic
here.
suits.
He's like, "Hey, I'm Flash Gordon. How you doing?" And these motherfuckers have like hand gauntlets on guns that they shoot at him, and it like
Yeah.
electrifies him.
He's just like he shoots this gun and it shoots out on a laser and
It
like a
shoots a
move.
hand.
He's
Yeah,
like,
it shoots a hand
ah.
at him.
I'm like, what the hell?
And they just capture these fools
Take
like
him back
real
to meet
quick. They
the
as soon
emperor.
as they land and get out, they immediately get captured, take them to the
Yeah.
palace. And this palace is like tons of red, tons of gold. Just it's so like gaudy, tacky, and everything. But here's where you get a hint of what's going to be happening through the course of the movie here. Because Zarkov or whatever is like, look at these people. They look miserable. It's like they need somebody to lead them on a revolt or whatever. And it's like, that's a weird conclusion you came up with in like 20 seconds, dude.
And he's just
It's
like,
like,
you
I
talking about
wonder,
me? And he's like, oh yeah, I mean, if anybody,
maybe.
yeah,
And it's
I
like,
mean, if
oh,
you want to do a
I
revolt, like
wonder where the rest of this movie is going to go.
they're just begging for somebody to start a revolt.
That's what
Like,
he was saying. They're just begging for somebody to lead a revolt. Now he's like, that's a weird thing to say. You talk about me? You're like, oh, so that's what the movie's gonna be about at this point.
right, right.
And they have like they're being in front of them. There's like this big like drone that's in front of them, and it's like a fisheye lens that's watching them the whole time. And like you have that weird lizard man that runs behind them, and they're like,
Yo,
prisoner escaped, and he's like, oh god,
that
he
part
gets
is so
zapped.
funny. It comes out of nowhere. Like they're walking, like picture like they're walking down a corridor, right? And then, like you said, the camera is just following them, like as they're walking. And like you see just this lizard man pop out from behind him. It's just like, and they're like, "Lizard man, stop!" And he just like comes over and shoots him, and he disappears. And I'm
Just
like, "Oh
disintegrates.
my holy shit!" And then they just keep walking, dude. Like what the
And
hell?
that's where he was just like, "Don't worry. As soon as we meet the emperor, I got my gun still. I'll pull out my gun. I'll blast him, and we could end this thing in one go. We could be heroes." And then like halt, halt,
Wow.
and they just like go down and they just disintegrate the gun in his pocket. He's like, "Damn."
Damn.
So, and this is where you get introduced to Ming the Merciless, played by Max von Sydow, and this dude looks absolutely ridiculous. This
He
dude got the
does.
big ass Fu Manchu, these huge fucking like eyebrows, and his bald ass head, and these ridiculous outfits and
Big ass
everything.
statues with his head that look
Yeah,
like his head.
big ass statue of his head and everything. Yeah, and you have so pretty much the planet that they're on is surrounded by a bunch of different moons, from what I gather, and each moon is it's its own kingdom.
Yeah.
And Ming the Merciless is pretty much like has all these different kingdoms fighting with each other at all times, and they have to like every so often come to the main planet and like give him a tribute, like give him
Yeah,
gifts or
like he's the
whatever.
ruler of all of it,
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
the ruler of everything, and that's why you're saying like, oh, there needs to be a revolt or whatever. But in this scene, you have like all these different like kingdoms and stuff. I mean, there's like a ton of different ones, but you really only get introduced to like two of them throughout the
Right.
movie, which is like Prince Baron's fucking the dude that
Like
looks like Green
green
Arrow,
arrows, the
and
green
their
arrows,
planet's pretty much like fucking
like
where Yoda
the
lives.
Ewoks.
Yeah,
It
or
looks
like
like
the
where the
Ewoks.
Ewoks are, you know?
Yeah, it's like Dagobah or some shit over
Yeah,
there. And then like the other, like I call them the Hawkmen because they look like Hawkman from fucking DC or some shit
they
with
pretty
the
much
wings
do.
and the helmets and stuff. They're like up in the sky in like this
Or like
fortress
the
and crap.
flying monkeys from Wizard of
Or
Oz.
like the
They
flying
reminded me.
monkeys from
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz, and they're led by Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh yeah,
Oh
bro.
yeah.
These fucking wings and he's like this like he's wearing like a Trojan like onesie type of thing, you know what I mean? Like a Trojan
Big
romper
ass
type of
beard.
like just yeah, like just oh my god. It's so ridiculous.
But everybody's giving him tribute, and like they even give him like this like glass crystal, and that's where like the Baron comes. He's like, "They fucking stole that crystal from us. That was our tribute." Or
That
whatever.
was up.
Oh, you want to fight? You want to fight? He's like, nobody will be fucking killing anybody around here unless I do it,
Yeah.
assholes. Unless I do it. And then like this like one group comes up and they're like, listen, man, we've been through some shit. I'm sorry, we don't have anything to offer but our loyalty. Like we and he's like, oh, you want to give me your
Oh
loyalty,
yeah?
eh? Then fall on your sword. He's like, oh, all right. And he like pulls out his fucking sword to go to stab himself. He's like, timing. And he like goes for him immediately, like gets grabbed, and Ming fucking stabs him to death. And he's
Yep.
like, his blood is blue and stuff. So these people are like aliens, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're aliens. You know.
Oh yeah, you want to get real philosophical? Yeah,
If I went to the
go
if
down
I
a
went to
rabbit hole.
Mars, if I went to Mars, I'd be an alien. Just saying, you know what I mean? But like
That's true.
we'll get past all
That's
that.
true. Technically, Flash Gordon's an alien in that
He
where
is
they're at.
exactly. His red blood would be weird as
They'd be
shit
like,
to
wait,
them.
red blood? What
So,
the
what
hell?
the? Why this is so? Oh,
But it's some weird shit because like the Ming like tells them to stop fighting. He's like, if you keep fighting, I'm gonna take your daughter. And he's like, whoa, what the?
yeah,
Like
I
he
know,
like
right? That's such a
threatens
crazy
to
threat.
steal the one dude's
He's like,
daughter and stuff.
fine.
He's like, fine, I'll hold
Like,
off for now.
the
And then you have
hell?
like small people being led around on chains and stuff.
Yeah, by
Like they
like
have
other
leashes
people,
on small people.
but some
Like,
of the people are like part of the groups too. Like they're like
yeah,
a race of
I'm
people.
very confused on how like all this works.
The hierarchy of it all, it doesn't make any
Hierarchy of it
sense.
all. Because even like the princess, like Ming's daughter, has like
That's
a
what I
person
mean.
on a leash too. It was like I don't understand what any of this.
I didn't understand anything I was watching, and especially that scene, bro. I'm just like, what the hell? And then they end up eventually finding Flash Gordon because he's just like, this is
This
fucking
guy's a
crazy.
psycho.
This
This
guy's a
guy's a
psycho.
and they're like, this guy's a psycho. This guy said it.
Yo, that's one of my favorite parts of the movie is like everything's all quiet.
Fucking robots
And
and narc,
he's just
man.
like, this guy's a psycho. And the robot way across the room behind Ming just like, this guy's a psycho. Like as loud as it possibly can. Like, he said it like
He said it. The fair-haired man in the back.
the fair-haired white guy in the back. He said it. That's it. Like it's just like, oh my god! Like they step forward, they bring him up and everything, and start talking
Yeah,
to him.
and dude, and the dude's Ming's like right hand dude. His outfit's kind of cool though. He's got like the gold ass mask and
Yeah,
like the
it looked
black
like some
robes and
Squid
stuff.
Games, some
It
Squid
looks
Game shit.
it looked like some cool shit. That was a pretty cool outfit. They bring him up and they're like, yeah, we're gonna put you to death. Pretty much, you insulted the ruler. We're gonna put you
Sorry,
to
buddy.
death. And even the daughter is like, let me have him, daddy. Like,
Yeah.
like I want to have some fun with him. He's like, I don't know about that. So like, we're just gonna
Nope.
put him to death instead.
What about the girl? She's like, bring me the girl. And she's like, no. And then he
He
puts the
like
ring on her.
mind controls her, and he's like making
She-
her like rub her body and
He's
stuff,
like
and like he's like, what is going
doing
on
like
here?
weird like air hugs. Like I'm
Yeah,
like,
and she doesn't remember anything that happened whenever he's done.
yeah,
But
and Flash is like, I like what he says afterwards. Like she's like, what just happened? And he's like, I don't know, but it was sensational.
it was sensational. Like Flash was digging it. But then that's the where you have like the weird line where he's like, "Prepare her for our pleasure," or whatever. Is like, what?
Yeah,
I
bro.
don't like the sound of that, Ming. I don't
One of
like
my
the sound at
favorite
all.
lines of the movie too is when Ming he says it in this scene. He's like, "You fools blast yourself off into space with no idea what's out here," or something like that.
Yeah,
Like I'm like, yo, that shit's crazy. I love it.
because the only reason he's going to destroy the planet is because like they figured out that they
because they
were, like,
know.
being watched. Yeah, they figured out what was happening. He's
Right.
like, "If you would've just thought it was a natural occurrence, we would've fucking moved on like we do any other time." So
You're
it
like,
was,
"Yep,
like, Z
you're too
Zarkov's
smart."
fault the whole time. He's like, "You're saying it was my fault?" He's like, "Yep, you're
Like, you
pretty
think you
much."
just launch yourselves in a tin can and not know what's out here or something. I wish I knew what he
It's
said
kinda
word for
it's
word.
I don't think it tried to put a message in there, but you kinda got one in there.
Yeah, you kinda fit something in there a little
It
bit.
kind of fits up
That's how I
accidentally
felt.
put a message in there.
Right?
But it's just this is another scene though, it's just so weird because, like, amongst all these other people, there's, like, almost pretty much naked chicks throughout this whole movie
Right?
and, like, these
Well,
outfits. It's like, I feel
picture,
like
like,
this is
Princess
kinda
Leia.
geared toward kids and stuff. This is so weird.
Right, but, like, slave Princess Leia, like, that's what, like, they
Yeah,
were
like
wearing, that
Slave
type of
Leia
stuff,
type stuff.
you know?
Exactly, exactly. This is where he's like, "All right, I'm gonna bust out of here." Zarkov, like, grabs, like, this huge, like it looks like a Fabergé egg or whatever, and that's where you have the ridiculous football scene where he's, like,
Uh,
dropping back and just throwing this thing off of people's heads and just
Bros
running through people.
Bro gets down in the stance, he's like, "Ah, ready, set, move for the 2, set," and he, like, drops back and he's, like, pump faking, bro. I'm like, "Who are you?"
Who are you
Like,
pump
"What are you?"
faking to? There's no
what are you
receivers.
He's, like, out there, like,
It's just muscle memory at that point, man. He's been doing it. And then he does
this
a
whole
straight,
scene
like,
is
log
ridiculous,
roll,
bro.
bro. He just gets on the ground and rolls, and he takes out, like, 5 people.
That whole scene is ridiculous,
And the
man.
whole time, like, Dale's on the side, like, "Yeah, get him, Flash, get
Get
him."
him, Flash! Like, oh
And
my
it's all fucked
god.
up because, like, Zarkov goes to throw the thing back, and he had just cracks Flash in the head with it by accident,
Yep, so, like, it's
knocks him
just
out.
silent.
It's
It's
just
silent.
silent, ends the whole thing. And
They
he's like,
carry his ass out.
"Death to him." And it just, like, cuts to the fucking Flash in chains, like, blood
In a
on him, like, his
box.
shirt, like, bare like,
Oh,
half
no, you're
naked,
right. We're not
has,
even there
like,
yet.
that spiked box on his head and everything.
Uh-huh.
And you have,
Torture
like, the
chamber.
weird lizard people in cages, and you have, like, other people in cages and stuff. Do you have one last request? He's like, "Yeah, I wanna talk to Dale or whatever. I wanna see Dale." He's like, "Pff, pitiful human. I guessed that's what you were gonna ask." It's so sensitive.
It's flaming him. Like, damn,
And then I
dude.
had, like, some weird ass upside down, like, sand timer where it, like, goes up instead of down, there's no gravity or some shit. Is
Yeah,
weird how it
like, that was how much
works.
time he had left?
They're preparing him for execution, which they're just gonna send him to a gas chamber. They're just
Pretty much.
put him on like, lock him into this chair in this chamber,
In
and it's
this
this
little
gas is
box,
gonna come up and kill him.
and
And
it's
that's
like
where
a
you
public
have
execution.
it's straight up a public execution. Everybody's there to see it. That's where you have, like, that little one-on-one scene with Baron and the princess where she's like, "Listen, I want you to go back to your planet. I'm gonna meet you there. I have a surprise for you." And he's like, "You lying bitch."
"You
He's like, "How could I
lying
trust you?"
bitch. I
And you could
know you
I'm
sleeping
guessing they're
around."
betrothed to each other, I think they mentioned at one point. They're not married or something. I don't know, but they have a
Okay.
thing, and she's trying to get him to go back to his planet, I guess. And she's gonna go there eventually. And this is just as you find out, this is all part of her plan.
Right.
I don't know why she's the traitor. Maybe just because she just doesn't agree with her father's policies and
She's
whatnot,
probably
because
tired
he's
of
just an evil dictator the whole time.
exactly. She's probably tired of the way, like, he's been running things and, like, knows that she's probably, like, the heir, most likely,
Maybe.
so she
Yeah,
can
yeah. They
kinda,
didn't
like,
go I
see
feel like they
through.
could have dug into that a little deeper. Like, if I take
Yeah.
control, I can change everything type shit.
Right.
Like,
Right.
they should have kinda leaned into that instead of just like, "Oh, I'm a whore that's sleeping around." This is
Just
like, I just
sneaking.
wanna end everything.
Sneaking.
But they straight up killed his boo. Like, they killed a main
Uh-huh.
character of the movie dead. And they
Yep.
even give him a dope ass casket with his name engraved, Flash Gordon and everything, like a dope ass, like,
Earthling, it's
nice.
like Flash Gordon, Earthling, and, like, the letters look really cool, like you said, like, kinda like the banner here, like, the letters, like,
Yeah,
look really,
it's
really
like
like,
that.
they gave him
It's
a
like,
really good tombstone.
for a dude that seemingly has nothing to them, they're just like, "We're gonna make this nice ass casket for him with his plaque and everything." Like, nobody's gonna know who this guy is or care who he is,
Flash
so why are we
Gordon.
even going about doing all this? But the princess comes in with this doctor. For the execution, the doctor comes in, he's like, "This will make your journey that much easier," or whatever he says, and he, like, injects him with something. Immediately, as soon as he dies, because I was like, what the fuck? They just killed Flash Gordon and we're not even halfway through the movie yet. What's gonna happen?
Right?
So, like, the very next scene, they don't even make you wait to see what happens. Like, it's some
Yeah,
Jon Snow or shit or
they
whatever.
sneak
There's like the
in.
very next scene. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna bring this
Mhm.
dude back to life." They
Alright,
inject him with
alright.
something, She alludes that she has a relationship with the doctor because she starts like making out with him before he leaves, or whatever.
He's like, "I can't wait to see you again," or something like that, like,
Yeah, at the usual spot or whatever.
at the usual spot. So, like, yeah, they definitely have done this before. That's she's just got, like, her hands on everybody so she can get any type of favors done, you know?
Yeah, that's probably why she's doing everything. But she really likes Flash.
Then I think they escape.
Yeah, she gets him like his like weird suit and stuff, and they're like running out through the different chambers, and that's when they walk by the one room where they have Zarkov like tied to a fucking table with this big ass like looks like a ray gun pointed at his head, dude.
Pointed right at his dome
Right
right
at his
here.
head. And what they're gonna be doing is straight up erasing his whole memories and just rewriting it with whatever they want to. Like
Yeah.
pretty much a straight allegiance and brainwashing and for Ming, which is a scene we're gonna get to in a second. But Flash is like, we gotta rescue him. Whatever. He's like, there's no time. We gotta get out of here. We'll come back. We'll rescue him. Dale, whatever. We gotta get you out of here. And she even keeps saying like throughout the whole thing is like, I like you a lot,
It's
Flash.
like, I really like you,
I
Flash.
really
Like,
like you,
come on,
Flash.
let's go.
And so they get out there in the spaceship. You go back to this scene with Zarkov, and this bro, we're talking about some just like some weird ass scenes. They're erasing this dude's memory, and on a TV right above him, they're showing
Oh
you
my
all of this
god.
dude's memories in reverse. So you have like him learning like Shakespeare and like his all of his stuff. You get to see him
Being
having
a
the fall
kid.
out at NASA getting fired and everything. His wife gets pushed into a pool and she drowns, and like that's how his wife dies, I guess. It's like, and then he was like, he came from Nazi Germany. It shows like Hitler and like the Nazis and stuff,
And
and
you
it's like,
see, like, even back as far as his parents having sex, like, where he's
I-
being, like,
right,
consummated, like, it's just, like, ridiculous, bro,
right.
like,
And then
what
it
the
even shows him
hell?
as an embryo in the womb and all that. And it's like, what the fuck
Right.
am I
Like,
watching?
you don't have the memories of that, like, it was a weird ass scene, man.
But and just for you to find out that he was just like, no, it's just fucking willpower, man. You didn't erase anything. You can't erase
They can't
will.
As soon as I got out of there, I was remembering lyrics of Beatles songs.
Beatles
It's just like,
songs.
you can't take the human willpower,
He's like, yeah,
like,
he's like, you can't erase humanity or whatever.
the lady was even like, "Turn it up to level 6," and after dude was
Yeah, because
already
they're like,
like,
just do
"Don't go
level
any higher
3.
than level
And
3,
he even
bro."
reiterates it. Level 3.
Level
And as soon as he
3.
leaves the room, she's like,
She's like,
level 6. Let's go.
"Level 6," and then turns out this motherfucker's just like, "I'm good, let's get out
I'm
of here."
good. I was
Him
just
and
thinking
Dio,
of like William Shakespeare poetry and Beatles songs, and I was
fucking
fine.
guy. This fucking guy,
All you have to
dude.
do to not get your memory erased is just remember stuff. Apparently, so if you ever have to like in a position where you're getting your memory erased, just start thinking of
Just
things.
start remembering. It's like, that's all you gotta do, bro.
Just counteracts it.
God.
But that's where you find out it's like Sarkov's fault and everything too. 'Cause he's like, hey,
Mhm.
like we do this like for every single planet. Like, what does he say? Like every like 1,000 years or something, we
Yeah.
go to like
We
different
find
planets
a
and we cause
civilization.
these natural disasters, and everybody's supposed to just to test out these planets, and
Mhm.
everybody's supposed to assume these are just natural occurrences until some nosy motherfucker gets the urge to just think, oh, there's something up there that's doing this,
Then they're
and that's when we
considered a threat,
gotta eliminate them.
right? Because they're starting to get that intelligence, you
And he's
know?
like, wait a minute, you say this is my fault? He's like, yep, this is all your
"Yep.
fault, buddy.
Sorry, buddy."
He's like, oh fuck.
I was kind of, like, floored by that whole reverse thing where I just like, "This is too much, man. I just wanna get to the next one." But like you said, you get to the next scene where she and Flash are in the spaceship there, and,
Yeah,
like, she's,
and
like,
they're
kinda
going to,
seducing
like,
him
Prince
and
Baron's
everything.
planet and
Mhm.
everything, but this is where she's really, like, trying to sleep with Flash. She's, like, climbing all on top of him and, like, he's he's like he asks her to try to teach him, like, telepathy so he could talk with Dale or
Yeah.
whatever, and and she's like, "You gotta be more convincing than that," and she's, like, making out with him and stuff, and then he's, like, talking with Dale, and she's, like, on Emperor Ming's bed, and that's where we talked about where they're, like, giving her the drink to try to make
After
everything a
drinking the
little bit
juice.
easier, and she's, like, drunk on this bed, and she thinks she's, like, hearing voices and stuff, but she's actually talking with Flash Gordon. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna go get help. We're gonna come back and rescue or whatever." And that's where she gets her own plan, where she gets, like, one of the handmaidens drunk and switches clothes with her so she could escape. Because when Ming comes in, Ming's coming in ready to fuck. He
He's like,
comes in, undoes his
"Oh,
belt. He's
yeah."
oh yeah.
She done drank
He's
the
like,
whole bottle of
who
the
the
juice.
who the fuck are
Oh,
you?
bitch.
I've been had. And that's
Where's
where
my
you fucking
mistress?
see her like doing cartwheels and blasting dudes in the hall and stuff. Like, where did this come from? She's out here just like murking
Super
dudes in the
princess.
hallway. We're like, we gotta send Agent Zarkov after her. And that's where Zarkov like acts like he's like, you gotta come with me. I'm gonna get you to safety. And he's like, oh, I was just fucking faking
They
it.
can't fuck with me, baby. Like, I'm mind of gold, mind of steel. They can't do nothing. They try. Let's
They
get
get
out of
on like
here.
one of the fucking hover bike and shit. They're riding.
Just like, ooh, yeah. He's wearing that suit.
They have all these cameras and drones around, and they overhear everything that they're talking about. They're like, "Oh yeah, Flash is gonna go to this planet. They're coming for help or whatever." And it's like, "You fools, we know all your plans. We
Oh
know
my
there's a
god.
traitor in our midst too." So
We
that's
just gotta
whenever the
find
dude
out who it
starts.
is.
Yeah, that's when the dude's like, "Ming, you got a traitor. You got to give me leave to do an investigation by whatever means necessary." And he's like, "Fine, whatever. Do whatever you have to." And he's like, "No matter who it is." He's like, "No matter who it is." He's like, "All right,
All right, here we go.
all
I
right.
know who it is.
I know who it is." So you fucking go to Endor, pretty much.
Pretty much.
And you get to meet Prince Barrett, who's a straight dickhead to Flash and everything. And he even like he's a dickhead to her too. He's like, "Well, you just gonna bring this dude here? I saw him
Yo,
die. Like,
he
you're
even
this
says
is
the thing, he's
treason."
like, you've done some low stuff, but I didn't think necrophilia was something you would do." Like, I
Right.
was like, "Damn, bro." Like,
Damn, bro. Damn.
it's
And,
like, what has she done to you? How many
and the
times?
you get introduced to like their ritual or their custom or their initiation that they have on the planet, which is like this big ass tree stump with like this
Yeah,
weird like poisonous scorpion in there, and they have like 8 different holes on this tree stump, and you got to choose one, and hopefully you don't choose whichever hole that scorpion's just chilling under.
right.
Because as you see with the one dude, he gets bit, and they're like, "Well, that's about it, buddy." And he's like, "Can you give me a peaceful death or whatever?" And that's where they just fucking they kill the dude on the spot,
Yeah.
which is like, oh, this is gonna come back up eventually. But he like makes a promise to her that he's not gonna kill him or whatever. He's like, I didn't. He's like, I didn't say that we wouldn't kill something. Wouldn't kill him. I said I wouldn't kill him.
I'm not gonna kill him. Put him in the sewage.
But so like this plan doesn't make any sense to me because he puts him in like this cage that goes down into the swamp or whatever to like drown him.
Yeah.
And then he talks with his boy, which is this dude is only in the movie like 30 seconds, but that dude is Riff Raff from Rocky Horror Picture Show. I was like, I fucking know this dude.
Oh,
But
shit.
he's only in the movie for like 30 seconds. It was the dude sitting there playing the flute or whatever. This is what doesn't make sense. Because after talking with this dude, Baron sends him right into the cage with a key saying, like, hey man, I got a method of escape. We can get out of here.
Yeah.
And then he puts them through the initiation and stuff. So it's like, why wouldn't you just skip the step with the swamp and be like, all right, Flash, if you're going to stay here, we're going to make you do this
They
initiation.
just wanted to stick his ass in the swamp, you know?
Yeah, before they did it, they wanted to make him suffer, I guess, extra. But it was like,
Yeah.
it just seemed like you could have just skipped straight to making him do the
Like,
initiation
this
type
movie
shit.
was so damn long. It didn't need to be as long as it
It did
was.
not need to be this. I mean, it was like an hour, 50 minutes or some shit,
It
but
was
it
like
felt way longer.
1:59,
Yeah, it
bro.
felt way longer.
Yeah. It
But they
was
easily
ridiculous.
could have cut out like 20 minutes from this movie.
God. There was a lot of the movie, like, the whole second half of the movie felt like it was, like, one scene almost. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, but then you have like a pretty much a dick measuring contest between the Baron and Flash, where they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna stick my hand in. See,
This
I'm cool."
Yeah.
And then Flash does it, and then the Baron's like, "Shit, no problem. You gonna come on, do it again, buddy. Do it a second time." And then Flash does it again, and he's like, "Now it's your turn." He's like, "Nah, you go first this time, Flash." And that's where fucking Flash, he's a quick thinker. He's like, he tricks him by acting like he got bit and asking for his death, and then he steals his fucking sword from him and escapes.
Yeah.
And it's
Then
like, you just pissed this
don't
dude off even
you get
further.
this scene when they're fighting, right?
Not yet, because he
Oh,
escapes. But then you find out that the Ming's dude captures the princess, and like you didn't even know she left the planet at that point. because
Right?
because the one scene's like with her and Baron and Flash on Endor, pretty much, and then like the very next scene is her strapped to a table getting whipped and being tortured, and then
Yeah,
like where was
I thought it was Dale at first. I'm
how
like,
did
what
it
the
go
hell
from
is
her
going on?
chilling with them on a planet to instantly being tortured? Like,
Back
how did she
there.
get captured? Yeah, I don't understand how she got captured.
There's a ton of
But
plot
like,
holes in this movie, man.
even Ming was just like watching his daughter get tortured. He's like, "No, I know you, the traitor." He's like, "I'm not
Yep,
saving you. Good
yep.
luck.
Good luck.
Good
Sorry.
luck. I can't
Her
save you
something
now."
wrong with her eyes. Like she said something about her eyes. Like there was something up with her eyes, right? Or
I don't
maybe
remember that.
she was talking to Dale about it whenever they threw her into the dungeon with her, or into that
Oh
room with
shit, I don't
her.
remember that one.
But
Uh, but yeah, I mean, she's getting tortured for information. They know she's the traitor. Uh, when Flash escapes from Baron, that's where he like falls into quick mud. It's not quicksand, but it's just mud that he
it looked
sinks
like
into,
poop.
and
It
he's
looked
like,
like poop.
he pulls himself out by this big ass rope, or it's
Yeah,
like looks like a root, a big ass root of a tree. He pulls himself out, and as soon as he pulls himself out, he just gets swallowed up by this like monster that's in the ground or
this
whatever.
claw monster. It's just like
Yeah,
wow. And I'm
and
just like,
Baron
man, what
comes
the
by and kills the monster just so he can kill Flash.
yeah. I'm just
And
like,
right when he's about to kill Flash, that's when old Macho Man Randy Savage and the gang comes in and rescues him.
yep,
Uh,
exactly.
because Zarkov and Dale got to their kingdom on the hover bike to let them know, like, hey, Flash is alive. We got to go rescue him. And that's where
Right,
they're trying to like force the team up, like force the revolution, get everybody working together instead of against each other,
right,
But
right.
they got to settle their differences. They all go up to like Cloud City, pretty much the equivalent of Cloud City.
This movie had a lot of Star Wars references before it was even in Star Wars.
Exactly. This movie was before Empire and everything. So you got
Yeah.
pretty much Cloud City, and that's where fucking Baron's like, I'm sick of Flash. Due to Emperor Ming's Article 17, I have the right to challenge you to trial by combat.
Yeah, this is when they fight. Okay, I
And
gotcha.
they're just fight. They have to
This scene
like
way
one
too
on one,
long as well.
way too fucking long,
Way
dude.
too long,
Way
dude.
too long. They have this one-on-one fight on this moving platform that old Macho Man controls with this remote,
With these
and not
spikes
only does it move, yeah, but it has spikes that just randomly pop up and down. And if you fall off into the sky. You fall through the
into
moon
like
door
an
pretty much
abyss.
from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Throw him to the moon door.
Throw through the moon door.
Make the little man
But
fly.
this fight goes on for like 10 minutes, it feels like, dude,
It's
or if not longer.
ridiculous. It's
But, like,
so
they
long,
only
dude.
give them whips. They don't even give them, like, swords. They're just fighting with whips, and they're, like, getting slashes on themselves and everything,
Yeah.
and then, like, the spikes start coming up through. But then, like, after 10 minutes or so, Flash even, like, has the opportunity to kill this dude. He's like, "I won't do it. I will
He
save you.
saves
I'm
him
gonna
from
save you."
hanging off the edge, so he's just like, "You know what? This is a good dude. This is a
Even
real
though
good
dude was
dude."
gonna kill him previously, where he was about to die, he was just like, "Just, like, take down Ming, save Day, like, you gotta do it. You gotta work together." He's like, even on the brink of death, Flash was like, try to save everybody.
Yeah,
Like, he's like, "That's a
exactly.
good dude." And this is where I was like, where humanity prevails. This is where he, like, just because of that,
Something
and
like
then he saves.
Zarkov says that or something. He's like, "That's humanity."
That's
So
humanity. Whenever he saves Baron from falling off, and Baron's like, "Wherever you go, I will follow."
Yep.
Or whatever. And that's where Baron's on his side for the rest of the movie. It turns into fucking Han Solo.
Yeah, pretty much. See, I was thinking one of them was Han Solo. It was either Zarkov, Baron, or the flying wing guy with the beard, Macho Man.
But
One of
you're
them was
right.
Han
That's where
Solo.
he was like, humanity prevail.
Humanity? No, that's humanity prevailing. There's something
Yeah,
like
and
just
then whenever, and because we was talking before about the brainwashing thing, he was like, "You can't beat the human spirit." Whenever he was talking about like
yeah,
remembering,
yeah,
and then
exactly.
so it's like you had the human spirit that he used to break the mind control, and then you have humanity that saves them in the trial by combat. And they still don't fucking cooperate well. They get all done with all this, and even Macho Man's like, nah, I'm not gonna help you guys.
I
Sorry.
don't think I'm really down for that.
Don't
Actually,
think
now
I'm
that I
down. They're
think
actually
about it,
coming here to kill us all, so we're gonna actually peace out. Sorry,
I'm
you
gonna
guys are
get
fucked.
going. Sorry, like he's just like but he's screaming the whole
Sorry.
time when he's saying it.
Yeah, he fucking peace, and he goes to fucking Baron's planet. He goes and takes over, like, goes to their planet to hide out,
Yeah,
and fucking Ming's right hand dude comes in, He's like, "Yeah, I fucking found you guys. You guys are coming back with me." And they just straight grab his ass and throw him onto the spikes.
I
And this
know.
his like eyes and tongue pop out and shit. It was
I'm
I
like,
was
what
gnarly,
the
dude.
fuck? Like they throw his ass on the spikes, right? Like you said, and it's just everything's bulging out, and then he
His
like
eyes are
melts.
like falling out of his sockets and his
He
tongue's
like
like coming out.
melts into the like just down the ramp. And it's like, what the hell is like it's just it's out there, dude. Like and like I
It's
said,
it's
everything about this
really
movie
out
is
there.
super out there. And it's like you could tell they're trying to be different, but like it's super weird, man. I'm like, what the hell's
Super
going
weird.
on?
Because then Ming comes in and they take Baron and Dale and Zarkov back to his palace and everything. And that's where you have like a one-on-one between Flash and Ming, where Ming's like, "Listen, man, I seen what you could do out here. You know you're tough. You know
You're
what you're
not like
doing.
the others.
People seem to follow you. You're not like the others. You could rule. I can make you a ruler. You can run a kingdom." And
You
he's
can
like, "What
have that
kingdom would I
whole
run?"
kingdom.
He's like, "You can rule Earth, man. I can go down there and make it so you're the ruler. You run everything down there." He's like, "But it's not going to be the same way that you know Earth." He's like, "Wait a minute. What do you mean? Everybody will be slaves?" He's like, "More or
Yeah,
less.
kind of. But you'll
More or
be the
less, kind of.
king.
You'll be
It'll
the
be
king. It's
yours.
good to be the king." And he's like, "I won't fucking do it." And I'm like, "All right, man. I gave you
All
a
right,
chance." He's like,
leave the
"I'll leave
Earthling
you here to
here.
die. I'll blow you
Blow
up."
this shit up. Blow this shit up.
They go out and they blow this bitch up like it's Alderaan.
Mhm.
In Star Wars, they just
Boom,
straight
boom,
blow up
boom,
this
boom,
whole ass
boom.
kingdom.
He's got to
But
find a hover bike to run off on.
he
And he's like,
crawls through like these crawl spaces and everything just to get to this hover bike.
just
It just looks
skirting away.
ridiculous. Like the handle that he's holding looks like it's made out of like foam and shit.
It all looks ridiculous.
It
Like it's
looks
made out
dumb.
of like pool noodles.
Boom
You know,
noodles.
like I'm like,
And
yo,
he gets
what in
in
the world?
contact with the Macho Man, and dude's down there like depressed. He's like,
He's,
"Maybe I shouldn't have fucking ran out on him
he's like,
again."
oh, Flash, it's you.
Flash. And he's like, "Hey man, I got out of here. We gotta go. We gotta team up. We gotta rescue everybody." And he's like, "Thank you, Flash. Thank you for giving me a second chance at redemption."
So they team up and they're flying like a flock. You know, they
Oh
got a
my
big
gosh,
ass
yeah.
flock.
And bro, I forgot to mention, I had a quote down here that was way too ridiculous. And we gotta mention Flash just met Dale like what 24 hours ago in this movie. Whenever they finally meet up again after she was captured, they went through all this shit. They meet up on the Hawkman's Kingdom ship or whatever. After they go through the trial by combat, she's like, "I got some crazy stories to tell." And he's like, "You're right. We'll save them for our kids." And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, wait a minute. You guys just met 24 hours
Do
ago.
you
Now
even
you
know
guys
her
are going to have,
last name?
you don't even know her last name. And now you're just going to have kids. And she's agreeing with you.
Like, yeah, yeah, of course, of course, of course. Like,
She's
duh.
like, "Well, we're gonna have some. I have some crazy stories." And he's like, "We'll save them for our kids someday." And it's
Oh
like,
my
"What
god.
the? You guys just met? What do you mean?" But you're right. These motherfuckers team up, and they have a whole group. They have a whole flock
It's
of
like,
these
ah!
hawk men out there, and they lure.
They're
Flash
storming the
Gordon
Capitol.
flies straight to Ming's palace just to lure one of their ships out,
Yeah.
and lures them up into the clouds. And they're like, "Wait a minute, this might be a trap. Let's send some electricity through those clouds." I guess is something you can do. And then you just have like that wide shot of like the ship and then the clouds, and there's a ton of just fucking hawk people just like on the
Yeah,
other
and
side
just
of the
like you can see them all
clouds.
just like like that. Like I said, it reminds me of Wizard of Oz. That whole scene,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
they're like, "Wait a minute, he's not coming out. All right, we'll go through." And as soon as they go through, that's when you have like another like it seems like 10 or 15-minute long battle sequence. And it's a lot cooler than the other fights in the movie,
It
I'll give you that,
is.
because they're
It
literally
is.
just blasting each other. People are dying. It's just wild. It's just
It
pretty cool. This is
definitely
the big
is.
fight sequence of the movie because you really don't get too. I mean, you get a couple others fight sequence, but nothing as big as this in the movie. They're going
Exactly.
through like rooms and throwing grenades and shit's
They're like
blowing up.
sneaking in and like to turn off the lasers, like the laser force field and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, they overtake this ship, and like that's whenever they're flying straight to the palace. While that's happening, that's where you have like Baron and Zarkov. They team up at
Hmm.
in the palace, and that's what you're saying. Was like they got to go off, shut the force field that's around the palace, or else the because Flash's plan is just to fly the ship straight into the palace. Like
And
fuck,
It
knock,
works.
knock,
It
knock,
fucking
knock.
works.
Yeah, and I
It
mean, you
works to
can't do that if there's a
perfection.
force field
Right.
around there. So they go off, and this is the scene where I talk about where it's like straight out of Star Wars. It's straight out of Episode 4 there,
Pew, pew.
where they're running around these black and white hallways, just hiding behind, and they're just pew 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 pew
Yeah,
pew, and it's like they look
exactly.
like the exact same like laser effects and everything too.
Yep.
And even like there's like a turret on the ground, and like you have like two guys that
Yo,
run into that room. He runs up, and like the door just opens, and they're standing there. And he's like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah."
that's so funny because he takes the turn, just like kicks the stand from it and
Yeah,
takes it.
he doesn't even have to, he picks it up. He could have just ran away. He's like, "Fuck this
Yeah, he doesn't
stand.
even have to kick the stand. He just kicks it.
Fuck this stand." And then he just bah, 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 just going around killing everybody else.
Yeah.
But during while all this is taking place, Ming is trying to marry Dale. Like Dale's in
Yep.
like this
And it's like
luxurious like
all
black
happening.
wedding gown. All this is
Apparently,
happening. Like
when it
all of these.
happens, the Earth is over too, or something.
Yeah, from the point that Flash gets in the ship, they have like 6 minutes until Earth is gonna blow up, and this is the
Yeah.
longest 6 minutes in cinematic
It's like
history.
Frieza's 6 minutes, Frieza's 5 minutes. That's exactly, if that makes any sense to you, then that tells you how long this 6 minutes is, man. It's
Exactly.
ridiculous. The whole rest of the movie.
Ridiculously long.
Like literally the whole rest of the movie.
Because everything we're talking about is happening at once. It's just being
Yeah.
cut back and forth between Flash, Baron running around trying to shut off this force field, and the wedding that's happening, and the wedding's
Yeah.
taking forever because they're trying to find the rings, and then they're trying to like go through the motions of
Take the
like
vows, and
actually
she
take
doesn't
the
even wanna
vows and
be
everything.
there, and
Exactly. So all this is being cut back and forth, and every single time you cut to Flash, you hear the Flash. Ah.
oh,
Dum, dum, dum,
savior.
dum,
But
dum.
it's like, he's gonna save all of us.
He's gonna save all of us. And even like the old Macho Man's like, "Listen here, Flash. Like, this is a suicide mission. You got to get out of here." And he's like, "Man,
He's
if
like,
there's
nope.
nobody controlling the ship, it's not going to hit the palace right where we want it to hit." And he's
He's
like,
like, you're gonna die.
"You're gonna die."
It's like, oh, one life to save a billion, or something like that, like, or
Yeah.
one life to save
He's
billions.
like, "I respect it, Flash. I'll see you later. I'll see you
Yeah,
on the other side." He pieces out. He's like, "Better, more luck to you. Power to you." He pieces out. Yeah, and that fucking shield goes off. And as soon as the shield goes off, in the middle of the ceremony, because of course they're having the ceremony right in front of the big ass window where they're gonna be crashing the ship.
yeah, and I like the note, like, even, like, during the wedding while it's going on, there's all, like, the city's firing cannons and shit to try to stop all this that's going on outside,
He
and they're
makes a
even
note at the
like
beginning of the wedding, just like, "Dad,
they're
don't
like,
worry
"Don't
about all the."
don't worry about that. They're just celebrating the wedding. They're firing the cannons outside of the city." Like, and then like the force field goes off, and you see the ship coming straight down towards the window. And they're like, "Oh!" Like, I was
And
starting
I
freaking
like
out.
how like it's only been like what a day or so in this
Yeah,
universe, and Flash is recognized as like a revolution icon. Because
yeah,
when you see like Baron and Zarkov in the prison cells, there's like a big ass wall that says "Long Live Flash" written
yeah.
in red on it. Or whatever. It's like
I'm like, dude, it's been like 12 hours. What are you
like
talking
this dude's
about?
like a revolutionary. He's like Che Guevara up here or some shit.
What the fuck is going on?
The plan goes pretty much perfectly if you want to say
Yeah, that's
that.
what I mean. He crashes right
They
into the
crash that
fucking
plane down
window.
through there, and you think there's gonna be some epic battle, but no, this big
Nope.
ass point on the front of this plane just impales Ming straight through the fucking
He's like,
chest.
ah. He's just like,
And
and then
he like
he
pulls
proceeds to
himself off. Yeah.
like disappear into this fucking ring, dude.
He like uses the ring on himself. Whereas like Flash is like, I'm just waiting for him. Like he has the sword. It's like, dude, cut his head off. Like you can
Yeah, and
finish
he's
him
just
right
like,
here. Kill him.
"Ow."
And he just lets him use his ring on himself, and he just vanishes into thin air, except for his ring. His ring falls to the ground. And then like everybody's chanting Flash's name. Even the fucking hawk people up in the sky say like thanks, Flash,
Yo, that
and
part was
skywriting.
funny as shit. It was so out of nowhere too. Like you said, the hawk people were like, they're flying as like a flock, right? And then they just spells thanks. And everybody's just looking at each other like, yeah, you're welcome, right? And then they cuts back to the sky, and it's like Flash, and they're like, oh,
Oh,
so
and then like the drones like Earth has been saved, Flash. You've done it. And
and
then
then like
like the Baron immediately is like, we shall all live in peace. Macho Man as our like general of the
He's our
armies, or like
general. I'm the king of the kingdoms, and they're like, yeah, and they're all just
everyone's
like
like,
super happy.
yeah,
It reminds me of the end of episode 5, I believe it is, when they're like
something like that.
the celebrations going on. Isn't that episode, or is that the end
Well,
of
I mean, you
episode
have like
4?
the ceremony at the end of 4, and
I
then you
think
have
maybe
like
I'm thinking of
at the
4 where they're getting the medals and everything with Chewie and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Chewie
what this
doesn't get
shit
his fucking
reminds me
medal.
of. That's right, Chewie doesn't get a fucking
Chewie
medal.
doesn't get his fucking medal.
But that's what this reminds me of, and then the movie just ends.
Well, you have the cliffhanger
Oh,
where it
man,
cuts back to the ring laying on the ground, and you have a black glove come out and grab the ring,
it's like
and it
the
says,
end,
"The end?" Question mark.
question mark, and you're like,
Yes, it is because the movie bombed, and they're
yeah,
not gonna make any more sequels.
it's 2023 or 24 now. It's been what, 44
And we
years, and we
haven't
have
had
not
a
gotten.
single bit of Flash Gordon, like
That was
anything.
the end. That was absolutely
That
the end.
was the end.
It should have been a period.
Make
This
the
movie, dude,
Blu-ray re-release, just put the period instead of the
yeah,
question mark at
change it
the
up
end.
like they did, like with
They just
Hayden
leave the ring
Christensen.
there. They don't even have the person grab it.
Just
It's just
yeah,
the end with the blood and stuff.
this movie, I felt like, and I don't feel like this a lot. I feel like if I would have watched this back in the day, maybe I'd feel differently about it. I felt like this movie was a waste of time. Like, like I felt
You know what's
like
fucking crazy though is like watching Ted and stuff where like they were kids at the time watching this. I feel like if you were of like a child of the 80s, this would be the shit you would love as a kid. Like this
exactly,
would be the
dude.
stuff you would grow up
It'd be
loving.
like somebody watching like, and I don't know this movie per se, so maybe it's really good. Like The Secret Life of Pets, 44 years from now. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Where they're like, why did I just watch this fucking movie? Like it's
Because
just like,
granted, even though I was watching Star Wars as a kid, if I would have watched this as a kid, I probably would have liked it too. Like, oh, this is
yeah,
kind of like Star Wars. I fucking love Star Wars.
I just felt like, man, I waited far too
It's just way
long
weirder for some
to
reason.
watch this. Like it felt like a movie that did not age very well. It
Oh,
just
not at
felt like
all.
the story was all over the place. There was plot holes everywhere. Like I
It
felt
just
like,
cuts from back. It just cuts like a ton of different weird cuts with stuff that like there people are places they weren't before, and you're like,
yeah,
what's happening?
dude,
Is this Game of Thrones season 8,
like this is
season
some
7, or
like
some shit?
crazy editing and shit. Like it just felt like uh, uh, it was thrown together, and it had great, great aspirations. I could see what they were going for. It just
They
fell
reached for the
flat.
stars. They
They
reached for the
reached
stars with this one. Because I mean,
super high for this. They were very
the
ambitious.
production design was awesome because
Yeah,
everything looked. I mean, I feel like if you just would have went with some different color schemes, it would have worked a lot better. It was just all the weird colors just made it look cheap, even though it wasn't cheap. It
it
made it
just
look
looked
cheap
like it. It
because a
looked
lot
like
of the
to me
miniatures
like
looked really good and really well
if
done.
if like me and you made a YouTube movie. Like that's what it looked
Yeah,
like to me. It looked like
yeah,
cheap as fuck. Like content creator make this type of like cheap. Like a
exactly.
like a. You ever seen the videos are like Dragon Ball Z, the Cell Saga in 5 minutes? Like, you know what I mean? Like if you haven't, I'll send you a clip. Just so you could see. But like it looked like that type of thing to me, where I'm like, some YouTuber make this shit? Like what the hell? Like
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
dude.
just it's very weird. It feels like it doesn't know what it wants to be
Yeah,
sometimes because it gets very serious and very like kind of have a
like
dark tone at
silly.
certain points, and
Then
then
it gets
there's
silly
very
and shit.
silly spots. Like it tries to be a comedy.
Yeah,
And I did actually have a note here. The reason that it is kind of silly is Dino De Laurentiis brought on writer Lorenzo Semple Jr., who wrote for Batman the 1966 TV show.
that
Not the
makes
movie,
sense.
which we covered at
Th-
the very first episode of Heroes of Our Time. Go check
Right.
that out. But the actual Batman 66 TV show, the writer from that helped write this movie, which that's where you get a lot of like the weird, like slapsticky like
Like
action and a lot of the
comedy and
weird
bullshit.
jokes and the weird tone to it. It feels like it doesn't know what it wants to be at certain spots. The music is great. The set design is really great, except for like the colors and stuff. The wardrobes are fucking wild. Like
Yeah,
some
they are.
weird shit,
There's a
dude.
lot of cool stuff about the movie, but I felt like overall it just felt like it was not. It didn't do it for me, man.
Yeah, this this is one of our first real stinkers of the show, man.
Yeah, dude. When we get to the if we could do it now, if you want, like, to rent it, buy it, skip
Yeah,
it,
I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of other terrible movies we're gonna be covering on for Heroes of Our Time here, but this is the first real one. I mean, we talked about Batman 66 where it was like, yeah, it's not great, but it's kind of a so bad it's good type of thing
I
because
would
it's
watch
super
that again
entertaining and
now.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
would
that
totally
movie
watch
was
Batman
great.
66 again.
It was so funny.
Superman 78 is one of the best superhero movies of all time.
Yeah, dude.
Superman 2,
That
although
was
it
a
has its flaws, it's still an okay movie. It's
yeah.
pretty decent. The Donner
This
cut
one
is pretty
was
damn good.
bullshit. I
This
would
one is
not
bullshit.
I would recommend do not watch this movie unless you have some type of like interest in it, you know?
Yeah.
This
Unless
movie
you're
is
doing a YouTube show talking
unless you're
about the
doing it
super comic book movies in a row.
I feel like I will never get that hour and 59 minutes back. And just to throw some context in there, I know I told you this, Wyatt, already, but I'm going to tell the viewers, like, I watched this weeks ago, fell asleep, right? So, and then I had to rewatch it again, because I knew we were going to start recording, fell asleep again. So then so I watched this. I wasted my time 3 times with this movie.
I
And,
watched half of it that one time, and then
ugh,
I got off because we decided to play at like PS5 or whatever that one
I
night.
just,
And then I decided to sit down today and rewatch the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, like out of a buy it, rent it, or miss it, I'd miss this one.
miss it.
There is no reason for you to go check out Flash
You're not
Gordon.
missing anything.
Not only that, even if you wanted to, I don't know if you're gonna be able to find it. It's like streaming
You're
nowhere.
gonna have to hit the high seas if you want this
You may
movie,
have to
just to
hit the
let you
high
know.
seas if you want to watch Flash Gordon,
And it's gonna be on
or
480p,
or
and you're gonna
buy it,
have
but
a
I don't
little
recommend
watermark
spending
at
your
the
hard
bottom
dollars on Flash
saying
Gordon.
Twix.com or whatever the hell website you downloaded it off of, but, like,
You're gonna
this
get a
movie isn't
virus.
anywhere. Oh my god, dude. Maybe this is why I'm not even gonna talk about
Yeah,
that. I
I
think you
mean,
know.
there's little bits and pieces of the movie I liked and that were entertaining, and a lot of the comedy I liked about it was with Zarkov, the crazy
Yeah.
ass doctor. But man, what's his name? Fucking Sam Jones is not great
The
as
New
a
York Jets
leading
quarterback.
man. As a leading man, he's not great. A lot of the acting in it's bad. I mean, Max von Sydow as a villain is mainly one of the only reasons if you kind of want to watch it. He's the only one that's chewing the scenery up a bit, but he is creepy. This movie doesn't really have any redeeming qualities to it, though. There's nothing really memorable about it other than the Queen soundtrack, which you can just go on Spotify and listen to
Yeah,
if you want to get that
exactly.
experience.
Yeah, this movie is definitely a miss it. I'm excited to get to our next one because I'm like I know we have some really good movies coming up here, some good old
Yeah,
classic superhero movies. So like I'm excited for the next few here, but I'm
yeah.
glad
I
we got this
mean,
one out the way. We were trying to get this done for months now. You
yeah.
know, like,
I'm glad we don't ever have to talk about Flash
we
Gordon
don't gotta
again.
go back to
There's
this
no
one ever.
sequels to talk about. There's no
No,
nothing. We done
God,
with Flash Gordon. You
we're
out of here,
done.
buddy. This
You
gets old 2 thumbs down.
sorry,
This one.
guy. Your
Sorry,
movie's
Flash.
not good, but
It
okay.
makes you think. What would George Lucas do with it? Like if he would have
Probably would have been
directed
a
it,
lot better. Would have been a
how would
lot
he
better.
would have done it? It would have been interesting to see his take on it. But then again, we wouldn't have gotten Star Wars probably if he would have done Flash
Exactly.
Gordon.
So I'm glad
Which
we ended up with Flash Gordon out of that, you know, but whatever, man.
But
God.
yeah, that is the episode here. The next time we do Heroes of Our Time for episode 5, we're going to be talking about Swamp Thing, directed by Wes
Oh,
Craven, the master of horror himself, directing a DC Comics superhero movie
I'm
with
excited for that
Adrian
review.
Barbeau. What? And Ray Weiss from Twin Peaks? What in the world is going on in this movie? And believe me, this movie's rated like PG. It should be rated R because this movie is fucking wild too.
Yo, we'll get to that shit, but this is a movie that we previously were gonna do this as episode 4, but we were like, whoa, wait, we hit Flash Gordon's there, so we had to move that. So we watched this months and months
Months
ago
ago,
and
I'm gonna have to
already had
rewatch it to do the
discussion
review.
about this movie, but like I'm excited to I'll rewatch it and we will get on that shit as soon as possible, man. But
Yeah,
I'm glad we got this one out the way here.
yeah. Swamp Thing will be the next episode of Heroes of Our Time, which will be coming up maybe in the next couple weeks or so. We
Mm.
will be back next week, probably with an episode of Cinema Trip reviews. Not entirely sure what we're covering as of yet. I hate saying what we are covering, because every single time I say what movie we're going to do, something always falls through every
Right.
single time. So I'm not announcing anything on the
Inevitably.
show any time further, except for Heroes of Our Time, because I know what episode is going to be
We
next.
have a spreadsheet. We know
I
what's
know
coming
what's
next.
next. Oh
Actually,
man.
yo, I bet you in episode 3 we said, "Oh yeah, Swamp Thing's next."
Bro, I'm sure of it. I'm sure if people watching this, like, man, I've been waiting for Swamp Thing for like 5 months now, and you guys
It's
still haven't
coming.
done it. It's like
It's
fucking
coming.
Flash Gordon. I thought you were gonna do Swamp Thing.
Like, what the fuck? They're now mad disappointed because Flash Gordon sucks.
What the fuck is this?
Sorry, guys. Swamp Thing's coming. Swamp Thing's
Swamp
coming. I promise.
It's gonna be the. I don't
Oh
know if
my
it's our next
god.
review, but it's the next Heroes of Our Time review.
Right. Exactly.
Any other thoughts on Flash Gordon or anything else you want to say, Bird?
I have nothing left to say about this movie, man.
Fuck this shit.
Fuck this movie, dude.
All right, man. That is the episode for this week. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on social media, Twitter and Instagram, what have you. And also wherever you get your podcast, drop in and leave us a good review there as well. And we'll see everybody next time.